Business is not all about only making money, but money is very important for any business to establish itself and also to survive. Hello and welcome to this particular video. In this particular video, I'm going to talk about the money part of the business that you need to plan, the financial plan. Yes, in this particular section, I present before you the various kinds of financial projections that you need to do to ensure that you know where your money will come from and where will you actually spend your money and how will you become profitable. The first item in this particular section is the sources and uses of fund. Where will you actually get your funds to start your business? You need funds, right? You need funds to create the infrastructure, to buy equipments, to buy machinery, to pay for the technology, to pay your employees. So what will be the sources of the funds? Will you put your own money? Will you borrow from banks, or will you be financed by an investor? What will be the terms and conditions of the financing or the loan that you will take? Are you even eligible to get that loan or that financing, from the investor or from the bank? So, and how much a portion of your money and how much will be the borrowed money? You need to look at the sources of funds. If you do not plan for it, maybe at the time when you actually want to launch a business, you will not have enough money to actually launch it. Then it will fail. So you need to plan for the sources of fund and also uses of those funds. How will you use that money? How much of that will you use probably to create buy the land, build the building, create the infrastructure, buy technology, machineries, equipments, pay your employees. So you need to look at so that you don't overspend. And if you overspend it, you might finish the money and you may not have money to do the rest of the important things. So you need to plan for the sources of the funds and the users of those funds. That's the number one item in this particular section. The number two item in this particular section is projected income statement. For the next 2 years, you need to plan for where will you spend your money and how will you earn your money. The various expense heads you need to plan. In terms of expenses, there may be certain things which might be one-time costs. For instance, the land that you buy or the factory that you create or the building that you make or the machinery that you buy might be one-time cost. But there might be some certain things which might be recurring cost. For instance, the raw materials that you need to buy, the electricity bills, the rentals, the salaries that you pay to your employees might be the recurring cost which might happen again and again. So you need to look at the various expense heads and plan for that. You also need to look at the various revenue sources. How will you make money? How will you earn money? How your business will earn money, or the revenues that we talk about. So the expenses as well as the revenues that we call as the second item, which we call as the projected income statement for the next 2 years. Remember, the third item in this particular section talks about projected cash flows, the inflow and the outflow of funds. Where will your cash come from and where will your cash go? So you need to look at that and ensure that you are getting enough cash as well as not overspending and ensuring that you have a steady cash flow to run your business. The fourth item in this particular section talks about your projected profit and loss statement. No business wants to make loss, but businesses seldom become profitable in the first year. Maybe in the initial months or the initial year, you might make some loss, and maybe there will come a time when you will break even, which is a no profit, no loss kind of situation. And then you become profitable. So you need to look at when will you break even? When will you actually start making profits? You need to plan for that. So you need to create a projected profit and loss statement for the next 2 years to ensure that you stop making losses. You actually reach the breaking point as soon as possible and you start making profits. Remember, any business that doesn't make profits doesn't survive for long. And finally, you have the fifth item in this particular section, which is ratio analysis. Now, this is, ratio analysis basically talks about working out various kind of ratios like the liquidity ratio of the firm or the profitability ratio of the firm or the efficiency ratio of the firm to see that, in terms of whether we are efficient in terms of use of the money that we have. Are we efficiently using the money or not, right? So, This, as I said, don't undermine the importance of this section. Business is not all about making money, but money is very important part of business, and any business which doesn't make enough money doesn't survive for long. Okay, before I end, time for a trivia. You know Bill Gates, right? Now, Bill Gates is best known as the co-founder of Microsoft, and he's also known as an entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, and a computer programmer. But do you know the first computer program that Bill Gates created was when he was a teenager, and it was called as tic-tac-toe. Yes, Bill Gates created his first program as a teenager, and so can you. And all the young people out there, I just want to tell you that believe in yourself, believe in your ideas, and who knows, you might be the next Bill Gates or even better than that in the future. Thank you very much.